Welcome to Washington Football Week with your host, one half of that dynamic duo, Sean Spencer, and South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer.
Don't play us if you're undefeated.
Where we celebrate past success while looking to a bright future. There's a youth movement in Washington, and they're ready to take the reins. Led by firefighters.
Play aggressive.
It's a new day. New dawn. No longer the laughing stock. It's time to take.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, on this Wednesday. Happy Hump Day! And you see I'm with my guy right there in steamy South Carolina, Will Kramer. What up, Will?
So you got your fleece sweatshirts on. You're wearing our flip-flops already. Like, we are polar opposites right now.
Yes, it is frigid up here in DC. We went from 60 or 70s and 80s to now down to about 40s and 50s, and it's raining. It's dreary. It's
How does it even happen?
No, I don't know. But yo, hey, shout out to you. And you were telling me you sitting here working on your tan. You sitting there out here at the pool just relaxing in the sun, man. Come on.
Yeah, we started swim lessons this week, so yeah, I had to, get rid of that golf tan. So, gotta get out a little bit.
I can dig it. And hey, as a matter of fact, this is the first time we've been on since the draft, and if I'm not mistaken, somebody celebrated a birthday not too long ago. The young one. Am I correct?
That is correct. It's why I'm still dog tired from starting Thursday. We had his birthday, and then Friday we had a kindergarten promotion, and then Saturday was his birthday party. Plus, we went to a minor league baseball game, and Sunday we went to church early. So, I am tired.
Yep. Shout out to him, man. That was great. So glad. Growing up, getting bigger. I was telling people about the time when we came down there and he thought he was going with us to the South Carolina game. And that moment he realized he wasn't going, it was like, oh my God, I'll give you my ticket. Because we have been bonding all day. We've been, warming up the arm. My arm still hurts from throwing all those pitches to him,
Oh, man. He knows how to tug at the heartstrings. But you haven't seen anything yet because now he can, this past baseball season, it wasn't coach pitch, but you were given 6 pitches by the coach. And if you didn't hit it, you could bring the tee out. And all he wants to do is hit. So your arm would be pretty tired because
I can dig it.
I had to come home and still pitch to him. Yeah,
right. Like, oh, okay, here we go. Let me get the ice. Oh my goodness! Look, welcome back to Washington Football Weekly. We are finally back here with you post-draft. We are on the better side of that downslide into the season. We are in May. June is literally right around the corner. In July, August preseason, and we're back in the mix. So, since it's being the first show since the draft, we got to recap the draft. And, Will, I'm going to come to you first. Overall, I mean, we're not going to talk about grades yet, but we knew we didn't have that many picks. We had the thought that maybe we want to trade back and get more picks. I think that was a consensus at some point. I think we between you, me, and Ad, we might disagree on when necessarily we wanted to trade back, but at some point we wanted to get more picks. They didn't do that. We only got 5. But I think what they did with each of the 5 picks, it was they had something they were looking in, they had somebody they were interested in, and they went after them, and they moved on. And I loved that. I absolutely loved it. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think besides like one pick, maybe they hit a need on every single one of these.
Yep.
It may not have been the time that I would have picked somebody, but the position that they went after, or the skill set that this person would bring to the table, I was like, okay, that is something that is missing. We knew just after one season, just because we had the magical season and they turned things around so quickly, it's not a Super Bowl ready roster. We have a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, but we didn't have a roster that's built to make it. And you saw we got our butts whooped in the championship game. Right. And they were finding ways to improve that roster. And so, yeah, I think, for that reason, I was like, oh, I like it.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that championship game and how badly we did get whooped, one of the things that we saw and what showed itself in the Super Bowl is that what the Eagles had was a dominant front line, dominant edge rushers, dominant inside. That was something that we all kind of had our eyes on. Edge. We need to get edge. We didn't get edge. How do you feel? How do you feel about that? Is that like is it a drawback, or is it I'm still trusting the process?
A little bit of both. Without a doubt, still concerned about that. I mean, we let Dante Fowler, our leading sack guy, leave. So, yeah, definitely still worried about that. However, one thing I think I've seen is they show that they are worried about the run. They brought in bigger guys to help with that. And kind of wondering, I heard this from Logan Paulson, where he said they seem to be working on saying, we're going to make our pass rush through the middle as opposed to the sides. Yeah. And so, yes, absolutely trusting the process. I still think we have a hole there on the outside. Yeah. And I think it would be great to get someone dynamic. I'm cool with trading next year's first rounder for Trey Hendrickson. You guys know I like this guy. So, right. But so I don't think they should be done or consider like it's not still a need. But I think they just kind of went after some other positions and retooled how they want that defensive line to flow. What about you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, yeah. Look, at hindsight's obviously 2020. The night of, it was kind of similar to last year. Like, they didn't get the guy that I thought they were going to get, or this guy's available. They didn't get it. But then again, going back to the trust the process, I look at what they did get, and it's like need. These guys can play. I see value in most every one of their picks, and even in the one that I don't see it, I trust what they're doing. And speaking of trusting the process, real quick, if I'm not mistaken, Josh Harris, he just got himself another championship. Didn't his I think his soccer team or overseas, I think they won a championship recently. I got to double check that. And if you guys are in the comments, definitely let us know. But I heard about it just recently, and I believe they won the championship. So hey, bring it home to Washington. And we can definitely see it happening. Let's get into it first. Going back again, theme, trusting the process. Year ago, we're crying, O-line, we need a tackle. They don't get it. They get the quarterback, and they make do this season. First pick in this one, even though we looked at edge, we looked at corner, they went offensive tackle from Oregon, Josh Connerly. Will, what are your thoughts about this guy?
So, remember on draft night when Nathan decided, he was on Twitter looking up, he's like, oh, you guys aren't going to like this. And we reacted differently. It was not the pick we were expecting. Like, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, are they going to get Jahad Campbell? Are they going to get, a wide receiver? I mean, a cornerback? Like, what are they going to do? Could they possibly go after Mike Green? Could they surprise us and get that guy? But this was a guy who, some of the guys like Daniel Jeremiah had mocked him to us and were saying, listen, this is a need for Washington. Getting better along the offensive line would be really helpful for them. And so I wasn't upset about it, you know. And what also helped a couple days later, when you find out that Howie Roseman hangs up the phone and goes, good pick. Then you're like, oh, there's the street cred that we needed. Even Philly thought this guy's good. So after it happened, like I said, it wasn't the guy that I necessarily were anticipating them picking. But afterwards, now you sit there and say, you got Tunsil on the left side. You got Connerly on the right.
Yes.
You're going to have Cosme back. You're going to have Coleman at left. It's like, wait a minute. We really just made this offensive line a strength.
Exactly.
And how better can you help out your young quarterback? I almost call him a rookie, but your young quarterback than to beef up his offensive line. So I'm like, love this. Now I'm on board. What about you?
100%. And again, like you said, hindsight is 2020. Because that night, you can go back and look at my face where it was like, really, this is what we're doing. But Dallas had the same thought with them getting Booker. But we all, and we proved this, and I think some of the coaches talked about this. We all were paying attention to what Philly did last year in the Super Bowl and to us. We all paid attention to what the Giants did with the third overall pick, getting Abdul Carter, adding him to that dominant D line. So this move was A, protecting the investment, B, is solidifying. I mean, we went from not having any credible, not credible. Coleman, shout out to him, but he's not Tunsil and he's not Connerly, right? So any credible real tackles to now having two guys. And this guy's man is 6'4", 315, physical in the run game. But the thing that really is beautiful about this guy, pass blocking extraordinaire. Only one sack given up last year. I think a sack and 5 pressure given up the year before. I think as an O-line, his junior year, they had only given up 5 sacks total. So he was in good company, but he definitely held his own. I love the fact that we bring in a guy that has been a fixture on a dominant team in college to come over here and potentially work out for us. And we're protecting JD5. Look, I was about to say RG3, but he's in his own bit of hot water, so I'm gonna leave him alone out there. But we're definitely protected the quarterback. And look, we wanted this last year. It came this year. I'm good with it. Now I'm just like perfect. I like that pick.
I'm with you. Yep.
Oh me. And let's move on to that second pick, a pick that I know you were very excited about. Let's go. In the second round, we picked Trey Amos, corner out of Ole Miss. What you thinking about this, Will?
Sean, I need you to run the clip from April 21st. I need you to run the clip of Will Kramer saying, with the 29th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders are selecting Trey Amos.
This guy, right?
You're darn right. I'm jacked up that they got the guy that I wanted in the first round in the second round.
Yeah.
I love this. I love this because I do think he's a first round talent. I love this because for 2 reasons. It allows our best DBs to get on the field in the position that they should be at. Marshawn on one side, Trey on the other.
Yeah.
Let Sanders still play the slot, play inside. That's what they drafted him for. Sanders still had a heck of a rookie season, and his future's bright. But let him play the position that they drafted him in the second round for as a top 50 pick. To let him play that position, he did good on the outside, but let him play the position they drafted him. Also, this now gives us a little bit of protection. Marshawn Lattimore has the ability for us to cut his contract next year. If he does not perform this year, we're not stuck with him. And we can say we've got one corner already filled out. Now we can take care of the other one if he doesn't work out. I'm going to be real honest, and I want Lattimore to pan out. I don't want to go that situation, but it gives us a little bit of financial protection, and it probably puts a little bit of pressure on Lattimore now to say, hey, we can cut you. If you play the way you did last year, we can cut you. You better ball out or else we will let you go. So I love this pick.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I know you do. I know you love the size, 6'1", 195, bigger, longer corner, right? longer press corner. Played in the SEC. We see Handy talking about Trey gave us a little hell when he played him. I love this guy as a fifth-year guy, so he has that durability. He can continue to play, and as we've seen, a lot of these guys that have played several years and then coming into the league, they're more league ready. They're more ready to come in there right away. And exactly for what you were talking about Lattimore. Now, put a little pep in your step, because now Sammerstill, last year he was forced to play outside, so he can do it. We don't necessarily want him to do it with his size, but he can do it. And I think that fact, along with getting Trey Amos, that does put a little burner on that seat for Lattimore, and let you know, hey, you first and foremost, you got to stay on the field. Secondly, you got to not make sure those refs ain't reaching in their pockets because you sitting here fighting or getting burned and all this nonsense. So I love this for them, because again, first pick offensive tackle, second pick corner, both are things that we were focused on, both are things that we wanted, and so hey, they went and they did this. They went right away. Now, let me ask you something, because it came out a little bit later. Shout out to our guy, Ab. And, shout out to him real quick, man. He's taking care of his little girl, wasn't feeling so well. So he definitely sends his shouts out to everybody in the Washington Football Weekly community. So he'll definitely be on with us coming this fall at certain points. But talk to us. He mentioned some reports came out, and one of the reasons why he went from first round to second round was some of the reports came out about potential back issues. How credible is that? Is that something that we need to be worried about going down the line?
I don't know. I did hear or listen to a pod where they said it wasn't like all 32 teams were worried about it. There were some who expressed some concern about it and some didn't, I think it's just a situation of, it probably factored in a little bit, just like Will Johnson's factored in, clearly he fell a bit, but I think every year there's guys that just fall, teams prioritize other positions and players drop. And so I'm not worried about it. What about you?
I mean, when you said it, it came to mind. I will say I am still a little scarred from the last SEC corner we drafted early on. Manuel Forbes, bro.
And remember David Amerson?
So yeah, but at the same time, like the size is good, and we want to push him up there as number one. But the fact that we have Sammerstill, I think that's the ace in the hole, because we know he can play well. So if we need him to start out there and just even the backup or help Amos or whatever, then you got Lattimore. I feel so much more confident in just these three guys than I did in the whole secondary that we had a year ago with some of those guys that were out there. So yeah, I we'll see if this is an issue for him. But I apparently it's not enough that they went after him. They ended up picking him up. So
right.
Oh man. So look, let's go on. We didn't have a pick in round 3, but we did have one in round 4. Jalen Lane, wide receiver out of Virginia Tech. Also, he transferred to Virginia Tech from Middle Tennessee State. I believe he had 3 years there. In his career, he had over 2,500 yards and 18 total touchdowns. This guy's got speed and a slot. He was a 3-star recruit, but the way that he was able to be productive at both places. Look, I'm not, for those of you who don't know, North Carolina fan, so I feel some type of way about Virginia Tech, but this guy torched us. He has the ability to play well, and now with Debo McLaurin, you put this guy in the slot, he has the ability to stretch the field. It makes me think of kind of what McMillan did to us last year for Tampa Bay. You have Godwin, you have Evans on the out, then you put McMillan in there and let him run up the seam, and you got something. What do you think about this pick, especially being in the 4th round, getting the wide receiver like this?
I really like it for exactly what you mentioned there. He's a speed guy. We talked about we let De'Ami Brown go, who was our fastest receiver. So we had a hole. And now that you've got someone like Debo, and we kept talking all offseason, well, maybe in the 3rd round we could get Ty Felton, maybe, we kept saying we would love to get a speed guy to add to this. And they did. It just wasn't the guy that we were kind of naming.
Right.
But they also got a guy who can punt return. Remember, Anthony's listening. Remember that game against the Falcons when Zacchaeus bobbled 2 punts? And then Crowder had some trouble like the week before, the week later. So this handles 2 different positions as well, or 2 spots, 2 roles, I should say. That's the word I was looking for, is 2 roles. So I really like this. And then the other thing to go with this, with two things. It was kind of funny. Scott McLuhan was interviewed on the Kevin Sheehan show, and he said, "Yeah, this guy's like Jamison Crowder. That's what Lane reminds me of. I'll take that all day.
Yep.
Love Crowder with the Redskins."
Right.
But then the other part was Adam Peters said that when they start day 3, they allow their entire scouting team, they call them research and development, so R&D, to go around the room and say, who's available and who do you like? Like, here's your chance to say, what guy would you want to get picked? And he said majority, over 60% of their scouts said Jalen Lane, to the point where when they announced it, they hadn't told their scouts who they were picking. So they came through who they were picking, and their room next to them of the scouts erupted. So I like that. It shows 2 things. One, they listen and trust their scouts. Yes. And 2, this wasn't just let's go after this guy. It was they had identified him as someone who could be a weapon for him. So I like this a lot.
Yeah, and that's huge, especially to your point that you made about special teams. If we can just lock down that spot and have a guy. Look, Crowder, we've relied on him. Obviously, we tried to do Olamide Zacchaeus. Over the last couple of years, which you had the Michael Kensleys and the Casimir Allens that we've tried to bring up, they haven't panned out. Bringing in a guy like this that can both contribute on the offense and in special teams, especially if we can utilize that speed, man, I'm liking what it could be. I'm definitely liking what it could be. Let's see how it pans out. But the fact, and another thing, this is one of those type of guys. It's one of those catch and run type dudes. Yes. So you throw those quick little screens, you throw those little bubbles. He can catch that, wiggle his way up the field, and just like that, he could be gone. And he's small enough to where he's 5'10", under 200. So he's a smaller guy. He can get up there and go. So I love this for us. Having some young, fresh legs, seeing that, Debo and then Terry, however great they are, they're definitely getting older in NFL years, if you will. So, yeah, big move. All right, moving on to the 6th round. We didn't have a 5th round pick, and this is one I'm going to default to you on. Heard a little bit about this guy, but not much. Kane Medrano, linebacker of UCLA. Will, what have you heard about this guy?
So this would be the one that came through when I went, don't know who that guy is. But he was coached by our linebackers coach, Ken Norton Jr.
Yes.
So there's familiarity there. I think he actually, based on his size, may turn out to be a safety because he's about 220-ish kind of. Mm-hmm. He was the fastest linebacker at the combine. Mm. So you're talking about someone who's got a little bit of speed. Yeah. I'm playing as a box safety. Maybe he's somebody who can develop into covering tight ends. But for now, this is going to be a special teams guy, which you guys heard my sleepers were my corn-fed white boys out of the Midwest. I had a couple of different, guys where I'm like, this is going to be our special teams guy. And you and Ab were like, well, why are you raving about special teams dudes? But
right. Like, who is this guy? It is.
That could be a role that he plays coming in to start, So, this was certainly, though, the one pick that I'm like, okay. Yeah. Can't really comment on this one, but I can at least explain who he is.
Yeah. And shout out, I love that connection. You saw when he got drafted, they handed the phone to Ken Norton Jr. and they were able to, talk back and forth. And that connection, I love that. That was a theme we talked about last year. And now bringing in guys that these guys have coached or been around, so you know what you're going to get from him. The special teams aspect I hadn't even thought about, but that could be huge for us because you get a guy in here that honestly – played at UCLA, got a chance to play in the Big Ten, 72 tackles, sack and a half, 2 picks, and even returned one of those for a touchdown. But I think the biggest thing, he's a 6th-year guy, and he was the last 2 years captain. He was a team captain on the team. What did we talk about a lot last year with Sammer Still, with McGee? Both of those guys are they're both captains at, coming out of college and on the team. We're getting good culture, team leaders, guys that have been in those fields. And so I love that. And first thing I thought when I was kind of looking at this guy, the same thing you said about linebacker by title, but potentially strong safety. I'm thinking Buffalo nickel, somebody could come right down to that line, set the edge, something like that. I love that. And then you got a name like Kane. I'm just thinking about Batman or something. Like, give him some dark face shadow. Just give me something. Oh man! But I mean, to your point, a lot of this that I'm talking about is from after the fact, doing the research, going back and looking through, because that night of, and mind you, it was a long 3 days of that draft. But by that point, I'm just like,
yeah,
okay, all right, well. Yeah. Trust it. I'll trust it.
Right.
But I had no clue. I was like, this ain't the linebacker we were talking about. We're looking at all these other names. I'm like, who is this guy? But the connection the culture, the leadership, those are all qualities that we continue to seem to get here in Washington. And I'm all for it. I love that. So let's see how it pans out. And we can go from there. And with our last pick in the 7th round, Washington selects Corey Croskett Merritt, running back out of Arizona. This guy shined at the East-West Shrine Bowl. Unfortunately, due to ineligibility issues, was only able to play 1 game last year. The year before, I believe he played a full season, had over 1,100 yards. For Nevada. What was it, 17 touchdowns?
Mexico. Yeah.
Right. So was able to ball out and play out there. 7th round pick. We kind of talked running back, but this was one of the last names that was on the list. Shout out to Ab. He really liked this guy. What are your thoughts on the pick and his possibilities of making a team?
Oh, I think he's making the roster without a doubt. I would say if you were a fan of Chris Rodriguez or Jeremy McNichols.
Yeah, McNichols, yeah.
You are in jeopardy of having snaps taken away from those guys with this one. Okay. I think had he been able to play, there's no way he would have been a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
He would have had enough production to slide into that mid-round territory easily. But he just didn't have any snaps in 2024. And it's kind of garbage. Essentially the NCAA, well, what the story is, I actually heard it this week. He shared a number with somebody, and even an offensive number. He stopped playing while he was at Louisiana. He stopped playing, but the number got transferred to somebody else. So the NCAA just saw that number 5, for example, played. And so when he played 1 game for Arizona, they were like, you were ineligible because you didn't have a 5th year of eligibility or 6th year of eligibility because you played at Louisiana. And he was like, no, that wasn't me. The number played, the number 5, but I was no longer in that jersey. It was complete crap what they did. So the fact that I just think, he has the ability. He just wasn't given a chance to play last year. Am I saying he's Brian Robinson's replacement? Absolutely not. But I think he's going to get carries, and I think he's going to be able to make an impact. How far? It's up to him at this point. But no, I think they got someone here, because here's the thing. They brought him in their top 30 visits, their top golf stuff from a year before that people went crazy over. They brought him in. They brought in Madrano. They brought in Lane. They brought in guys that they had picked and been like, we need to talk to these guys. We see something. So they saw something from this guy, and they were just able to stay really patient and get a running back in the 7th round. Wow.
Yeah. And honestly, looking back at what you got of him from 2 years ago in New Mexico. And then, East West Shrine, like I said, he showed out. The guy, I mean, has the ability to navigate in traffic. He has the ability to have that one cut and get upfield, or take it all the way across the field and really stretch it. So the guy can finish the run. He finishes with purpose. His size only being 5'10", 206. That doesn't show the full impact of what he is. Honestly, I'm so in love with the fact that he dropped as far as he did, because he was talked about. And let's see, I'm very hopeful that this guy can actually be one of the guys that really not only challenges for a position, but makes a team and really gets some snaps this fall. He's got the ability to do it, and let's see if he can show out. But to your point, they are, meaning the front office, they are very deliberate about what they're doing. They're bringing in guys that they want to talk to, and they're going right after them. And that, to me, I love that, because now we're not just, throwing a dart at the wall and hoping it sticks. You know what I mean? We're not just picking, and we're really going after guys deliberately, talking to them, getting the gauge of who they are. And you're not hearing any negativity. You're hearing that these guys are excited to come to Washington. We're excited to get them. So, hey, great move for this, and the fact, and extremely fortunate getting him when we did. So with that being said, 5 picks in the draft. Trying to say, yeah, Ja'Cory Cross-Merrick. Nope, it went once. Shout out to you, Ben. Shout out to you, Anthony, checking us out. So look, 5 picks. Josh Connerly, offensive tackle. Number 2, Trey Amos at corner. Jalen Lane, wide receiver. Kane Medrano at linebacker, and Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt at running back. 5 picks in this draft. Will, what is your thoughts? Oh,
I'll say give us a grade. I want you to.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you straight. I'm gonna be real. I said B minus C plus. I love the first 3 picks. I love the Ja'Cory Merritt pick, but I'm still kind of skeptical. The Medrano, I love that he is a leader. I still wanted a little bit more. I wanted more picks. I wanted to maybe address more at corner, maybe get an extra lineman, something else. So part of it is me not being super satisfied and kind of still leaving room to grow. But I do not want to undercut how important those top 3 picks were, and just I'm starting to see how Kane and Ja'Cory could make a serious impact. So I definitely want to go C plus B minus. Keep us in that realm, but definitely give us room to improve. What did you give them?
My kids aren't taking your class. You grade harsh.
Absolutely.
I gave them an A for this draft.
Yeah.
I saw every single player on there fills a need to make an impact. Darn right, that's an A. And if you count in 3rd round pick Marshawn Lattimore, 3rd round pick Laramie Tunsil, 5th round pick Debo Samuel, A bleeping plus.
Adding in those, yes, okay. If you add in those, we could have that conversation. But yeah, no, and to your point on that, I think that is something that that could really get better in time, because we've both made a case. Each one of these guys could potentially have a serious role, if not all 5 of them be a starter at some point. I'm not saying Ja'Cory is going to be a starter right now. Right.
Medrano's not starting, but he might.
Right. But even what if he starts on special teams? That's a starting role.
That is not a
That's starting. That's it. Our best player, our best starting player is Tressway. That's a starting role.
Right.
I'm reaching. If I'm giving these guys a B minus, I got to reach for this.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's look, I will see in hindsight, but one thing I will not doubt at all is Harris, Peters, Quinn, the direction, the deliberate, attempt to go after the guys that they wanted, and hearing the story about the scouts, and hearing the story about how they erupted when were able to get their guy. It feels good in house that we're listening to everybody. Everybody's getting an opportunity to say their piece. We're bringing in people who realize their input is being heard. That's one of the things that makes people want to come to Washington. It makes people want to be a part of what we're building because they're saying, yo, you got input? Let's go. I want to hear it. And I want to help this team to grow. So I love this, man. I love every bit of it. So it's left me so super optimistic going into this fall. Far more optimistic than I've been in years past. And it's getting better, man. Getting better.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
What
so
about,
look,
any of the undrafted free agents? Any of them excite you? You can say no.
No, that's why I'm trying to be nice. You got me on my grading, so I'm trying to be nice here, but not really. What about you? Anybody excite you?
Yeah, we got 2 DBs, Carlin Viggers and Robert McDaniel. Viggers came from Louisiana Monroe, bigger corner. So catch my eye. And Robert McDaniel's a big dude. He's like 6'2", 210. So he's going to be, or maybe even bigger than that. So that's kind of going to be kind of interesting just to see. McDaniel could be a great like practice squad stash this guy type developmental player. Also, Ja'Cory Brooks was the wide receiver out of Louisville, and he was expected to go picked. He was expected to go in like the 4th round. So
right.
He didn't. I think he is a taller receiver, I believe. I have to look at his measurables. So I think they're intriguing signings, and we'll just kind of see from there. Yeah. Plus, I will just share this. I don't think Gabe Taylor's going to make the roster. I think it's great that they're hoping get a chance to come to training camp, but I do not think he's going to make the roster.
Shout out to Gabe Taylor, the brother of the late Sean Taylor, and they definitely got him out here. But I don't know. It's a good story. It makes you feel good. They had the connection. They respect that because Quinn and those guys, they had no part of that. Correct. You know, that was Washington, and they respect that, and they brought him in there. And if he could somehow make it, that'd be great. But this isn't a movie, so we'll see what happens. I will say this: of that Ja'Cory Brooks come from Louisville, obviously under Brom and that whole situation, they use those wide receivers a lot out there, and that he could be somebody that if he's able to get in the mix, maybe start off on practice squad and kind of finagle his way on it. We'll see. We'll see. I like what he's able to do. Him and I believe it was Jamie Thrash, I think was the other guy that they had.
Thrash.
I think it's Thrash. It might not be Jamie.
Oh, you're talking about Louisville?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. I don't know who Louisville plays.
And the only reason
SEC, the ACC. So
greatness. Yeah, that's where great happens. Exactly. I know. And the only reason I know him is because I thought he was related to our guy, Thrash, James Thrash, that we used to have all those years ago. But they are not related, by the way. Oh, sorry about that.
You want to know a fun story about James Thrash?
Yeah.
So we were at in Loudoun County. They started a 7v7 passing league, and James Thrash was partners with Eddie Mason for Mace training. They're still in the area. Well, he was out there. They did like the warm-ups, and they put all the kids through some, calisthenics and some trainings and stuff like that. And then they played the 7-on-7 game. So he was there. And so I had a chance to talk with him. I was working for Parks and Rec at the time. And at one point, this is the Joe Gibbs era, and this is going into year 2. And I just said, hey, so how's training camp going? I heard it's been pretty tough. He said, yeah, it has been a lot. And I just turned and I was like, well, that's good. I'm glad y'all are working hard out there. And he kind of gave me a look. And what I wanted to say is because y'all sucked last year and you need to do better. But he gave me this little like, what do you mean that's good? What do you mean that we should be working hard out there? And he's a nice guy, so he let it go. But I was like, said too much.
Shut it up, Ray. Oh, good old days of thrashing those guys, man. So so we'll see what happens with those guys. We're gonna hit a quick commercial break, but once we get back, we're gonna talk schedule for sure. But we're also gonna talk something else. Washington and the rest of the NFC East in December will be on Hard Knocks, and I think they've been listening to our partner Will Kramer, who's also always been saying we want a December to remember. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to our guy, Anton Benson. Yeah, buddy. That is my guy, Anton Benton, creator and founder of Awesome Artisans on Facebook and on Instagram. You can find it as awesome_artisans on Instagram. Lives in Virginia Beach, the 757 area, and definitely travels up and down the East Coast and will travel to and through the Midwest. So definitely get in touch with him for any of your household, inside and outside household handyman needs. Yo, we are back. This is Washington Football Weekly. That's my guy over there, Will Kramer. It's your boy in frigid Northern Virginia, Sean Spencer. We're sitting here talking Washington. We just got finished talking about the draft, but now we have to move on. My guy always talking about a December to remember, and the NFL answered our prayers. The NFC East will be on Hard Knocks in December. This isn't something we're used to. Normally, they're not worried about what's going on in Washington, but they are here front and center this fall, right at the prime time, man. What's your initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I haven't watched Hard Knocks in years.
Yeah.
And I guess I might have to get an HBO Max subscription November-ish now, because I have to tune in. It should be fun. The way the schedule is laid out, we're going to be playing all of the NFC teams in December, I'm pretty sure. I know we'll play at least 3, but yeah, we play the Giants on December 14th. So, it's going to be a fun, a really fun way to watch what's going on behind the scenes as all 4 teams are battling for the playoffs, if the Giants make it that far. So yeah, should be a good time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to your point, it's the Giants, Philly, Dallas, and then Philly again. So we're playing all the opponents in December, and in January they'll be sitting here watching us. I think this speaks to something bigger in Washington, the fact that obviously we just came off doing a show where we were talking about, the new stadium potentially being built, the old RFK site. Obviously, they just finalized something to bring in the 2027 NFL draft to the mall in DC. So now you having us on Hard Knocks, having us as the center of attention right at the holiday season, right at the playoff rush. I mean, come on now. Like I've been one that took a while to get on the JD5 train. But if this is what my man JD5 is bringing to the table, we're in the spotlight now. I'm good.
Yes.
I'm good. I'm all aboard on that hype train. Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. More so, I love the fact that we are bringing back something that we have not really had since we were really young, and that is the potential for all four of the NFC East teams to be legitimate. Now, we don't know what the Giants are going to be. We know they're building a defense, but I think the jury's out on which of the 3 quarterbacks they're going to bring in the running game and stuff like that. They always give us trouble. Philly, we know what they're bringing. Dallas just picked up Pickens, Javonte Williams. They're making a couple moves, themselves.
The running back that they picked up, of course.
North Carolina. Yeah, absolutely. But the fact that the NFL media, they feel like this is not just a team. They're covering the Bills in the AFC East early in August. They're covering all 4 of us, so they are looking forward to something being pretty solid. And you know what, man? That just feels good that we're not, what do we say in the intro? We're no longer the laughing stock. Mm-hmm. Now it's time to take command, and that means of all the league, man. It am I good being this hyped, or am I being set up to be let down?
You never know. It's the NFL. You never
Yeah.
know how the season can go. But no, without a doubt, I mean, I think they recognize that there are teams there that people want to put their eyes on. The Eagles have a great roster. We have a great quarterback, and the Cowboys get eyeballs,
Yeah.
and so it does allow for a lot of interest. So get yourself excited. It's okay to be.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll be excited about this since my college team. All we're talking about is our coach and his super young fiance. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this NFL schedule. Washington's schedule has just come out. Will, if you got that, you can put that up on the screen now. And we're just going to go through, give our way too early, brief predictions on what we think is going to happen into the schedule. So let's dive into it right now. I'm going to run through the schedule real quick, and then we're going to go back and tell what we think. So we start off at home against the Giants. Then we go to Green Bay, come back home to play the Raiders, go to Atlanta, go to the Chargers. Then we have the Monday night game at home against Chicago, go to Dallas, go to the Chiefs, come back home, play Seattle, Detroit next. Then we go to Spain to play Miami. After that, we have our bye week. Then we come home for Denver, go to Minnesota. Then we get our NFC East rush where we home for the Giants. Are we at Philly that one? That last one?
Yes.
Yeah, at Philly.
No, we have Philly at home. We go to Philly for the end of the season.
Okay, at home for that Philly game. At home for that Dallas game, and then go to Philly at the end of it. So let's start up with those first four games. You got the Giants, you got going to Green Bay, coming home for the Raiders, and then going to Atlanta. Out of that, how are you feeling out of those first half of the season, first quarter of the season?
Yeah, I think there's a real good chance that we end up 2-2. With the idea we potentially could be 3-1. I think we're going to beat the Giants. I think while Russell Wilson will be the quarterback at that time, and they've got some new weapons and the defensive line is going to be pretty good. I still think they are just such a work in progress this season. So I've got them beating the Giants at home. I have us losing to the Packers, which that could go either way. I wouldn't say the Packers are a better team than us. And it's nice to be up in Lambeau in September and not in December.
Exactly.
I think we're going to beat the Raiders. They're an improved roster, certainly with Geno Smith, and I have us losing to the Falcons only for the fact that we have snuck by with the win the last like 2 of the 3 times we played them, and I just feel like we can't keep getting this lucky. They're going to have to beat us one of these times.
Oh yeah. So I also had 2-2, but I switched up who the losses were, who the two. So the losses I had were to Atlanta also and to the Raiders. And my main reason for that was the run game. I feel like in those first 4 weeks, we're still going to be trying to figure out how we're running that defense. And you got Bijan for Atlanta in Atlanta. Then obviously Ashton Genty over there with the Raiders. But with Pete Carroll's offense, and now you got Mayer and Geno and all that stuff, I think they can sneak one by us, kind of similar to how they did the Ravens, where they barely got past them. The Giants and Green Bay, I feel confident that we can get those W's. I think it's going to be a little closer with the Giants as well, but I think we'll win that one. In Green Bay, I think it's exactly for what you said. The fact that we're going to Lambeau in September, when it's still going to be warm, I think that's going to benefit us as opposed to if we went there in, say, December or January, something like that. So yeah, I'm with you on that at 2-2. All right, and going down to the next 4, we go to Los Angeles to play the Chargers, come home for the Monday night game against Chicago, then go to Dallas and go to the Chiefs. This is where I think we are going to have another similar stretch. I think we're going 2-2 in this one. I think we can get past the Chargers in LA. Still not trusting of them. I think the Chicago Bears, I know all my Bears fans and I know all the city of Chicago, they have this day circled because we ended their season essentially last year with that Hail Mary and they technically they should have won that game, and they let it get away from them with that. They are going to want this game. This is becoming budding rivalry like it was in the 80s, so I love that. And then this stretch where we go to Dallas and then go to Kansas City. I got us beating Dallas in Dallas, and then when we come back and play Kansas City in Kansas City, it's a good game, but I think it comes down to the wire like the Ravens-Chiefs game at the beginning last year, where it's right on the last play where Mahomes outduels Jaden Daniels. But it teaches us more about our team than anything else. It teaches us that, we can hang with the big dogs. We're right close to getting over that edge. So right now, at this point, I got us at 4-4. What do you think?
This is a chance we potentially could. I could see us go 0-4 on this stretch. I think this is the big test. Going to the Chargers, I think could be one of our better opportunities for a win, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I think they're going to be a very much improved team than where they were last year. They're going to make a jump in year 2 under Harbaugh. I'm with you. The Bears, they've got this game circled. So I don't see us winning that one. Dallas, here's the thing. We need to show that we can figure out how to play against them because we played like dogs in both times.
Yeah.
We were a catch at the end of the game by Terry from losing, and Mariota playing well. And Janae's not wrong when she said they played really well against Jaden in that game.
Oh, yes.
Shut him down. And we have yet to figure out a way to stop Micah Parsons. Maybe this new offensive line will. So I'm with you to say, I don't think that Dallas game, that one in particular, is a gimme. And then same thing, the Chiefs, it's going to be hyped. It's going to be a fun game, but I could see us losing that one too.
Yeah. The fact is, it's at Arrowhead at that time. I think it's going to be an issue, but I think we're going to run with them. I think it's going to be tough. All right, I'm coming to you next. We come home for 2 games, playing Seattle, playing Detroit, and then we go to Spain to play Miami, and then follow that up with a bye week. Actually, I'll add in that Denver game as well, where we come back after the bye week and we play Denver. So Seattle, Detroit, Miami, and Spain, and then Denver in week 13 after the bye. What you think about what do you give us at that point?
I think this is when we start to come back on a run, start to get a little hot. I think we'll beat Seattle. We have a better team than them. I do think we probably lose to Detroit. They're going to be fired up and pissed off from the year before.
Another one,
get our guys back. We need to get B. Foster to come back on and talk to us during that game.
Exactly.
Before that one. And I think we'll beat Miami. But with Miami, you just don't know with this Dolphin team. Are they going to be last year's team who was garbage, or are they going to be 2 years ago's team who was on fire in the regular season? But I think that could be a win. And then Denver is going to be improved. They could be a team to really watch, but I have us beating the Broncos in that one. So I kind of see us potentially righting the ship.
I'm with you. I got us going 3-1 in this stretch. I think we can win it pretty handily against Seattle. Revenge games are a real thing, and I think Detroit they're circling this on their schedule as well. They want us, and especially they want to play us healthy. That's the thing that a lot of Detroit people have been saying. Good win, but we want to play you guys healthy. And we'll see what happens when they get Aiden Hutchinson and all that stuff back. This game for us in Spain, I think, is going to be one of those coming out parties. And we already know JD5 has already come out, but this might be for the team. We are on the national stage. Everybody around the world wants to watch this JD5, what we got going. I think this is one of those games that we really kind of put ourselves out there on display, get that W in a high-scoring game against Miami, have that bye, get the rest, and then in a tight game against a team that I have high hopes for. Shout out to Tina Winter, Denver Broncos fan, Coast of Mile High Minute. I think we pull this one out late against Denver, being in as at home. This is 2 good teams, both on the upswing, and I think we can get that one done. It's going to be interesting with that secondary and some of the moves they make, but we'll see. All right, in the last stretch, we go to Minnesota, and then the NFC East. We play the Giants at home, Philly at home, Giants in New York, Philly at home, Dallas at home, and then Philly in Philly. Those 5 games, what you think we're doing?
I think we're going to win our first two. I think we'll beat Minnesota. I'm not sold yet on who they'll be, whether they will be as good as they were last year. I think at that point in the season, the Giants are going to be better than they were, but maybe they're playing Jackson Dart at that point, kind of playing for next season. They've had a couple losses that build up, so they realize they're out of the playoffs. So I got us beating the Giants in that game. At home, Philly, December 20th. I don't have us beating the Eagles. I do have us beating the Cowboys on Christmas. Nice little Christmas Day present there. Beautiful. And I do have us beating the Eagles at the end of the season because I don't think the game matters for Philly.
Yep. Yeah, I got us going 4-1 in that stretch as well. Minnesota with JJ, we'll see what he can able to do, but some reason I feel like Sam Darnold might have been perfectly fit for that situation with him and the coach and O'Connell and how they were able to do. And I mean, nobody expected that, but we'll see if JJ McCarthy can do anything with that. Similar with the Giants, I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to give us a test, but I think we're going to pull this one out in the end. That Philly game, I think they're going to want to check us and just say, hey, remember, we're still that team. We're still the team that went to the Super Bowl last year. I think they're going to be in the hunt. But that's where we're going to lose that game, and then we win against Dallas on Christmas and Philly at the end, putting us, for me, at 11-6. I don't know if we're first or second in the division, but I got us 11-6 and making the playoffs.
Whew. You changed. You were a really tough grader as a teacher earlier. Now you're not. You were very kind. I actually have us. I'm closer to what Nathan's saying. I have us at 9-8.
Ooh, nice.
With the idea that I think that could go up one. I don't think it's going to go below one, but I disagree with what Nathan's saying that we don't have a really tough schedule. I think the fact that we have to go play the AFC West, I think, is really challenging.
Yeah.
I think
and the North.
Right. The North is going to be challenging. I think we also have the fact that we have to add I guess the Packers were the North, so never mind with that. But the Dolphins we're not too sure of. So I think those are 8 difficult games as well. I'd much rather be playing the NFC South. That'd be really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or why can't we be playing Cleveland? Come on now.
Exactly.
But I think we could be looking at, being more of a wild card team. Well, we were a wild card team, but looking at that, we're playing all the way to the end, not because our team isn't better than it was last year, but just the schedule. And I think Dallas has a chance to be either fairly decent or completely tank under Schottenheimer. And that could be the same thing with the Giants. They could be slightly better than they were, or they could be back to being, terrible. And so we don't know. And so I think it's going to be a challenging season.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the fact that, like, to your point about the NFC North and the AFC West, in my opinion, those are two of the best divisions in football altogether, especially if you start including some of the pieces and moves that they've made in the West and things like that. This, to me, that's 8 games right there that are tough. And then you got the 6 that we're playing in division. I mean, this to me, it's a little rougher than I'd like to take a look at. Shout out to Tim Fred from Stad said, if we're not talking about the Redskins, nobody cares. We're always talking about the Redskins over here, my friend. And then Nathan said the things that he was saying. Yeah, so I think you had 9-10. That's what I said earlier on. Look, I'm trying something new, Will, where I'm trying to believe that we are who we thought we were, which is a very good team. And with these additions that we made on that O-line, the picks that we made, with the wide receiver and the corner, I'm telling you, Will, I don't feel bad about it. Like, I trust us now. I really kind of am secure. Like, 10 wins is fine, but I think we can get that 11th win, and we could be a damn contender. We are that team. Yeah. So. I mean, come on. I got to be confident. I go back to shout out to our guy, Misa Thor, the Bucks fan, who said to me when we got to the championship, even the divisional round. He said, at this point, it's not a fluke. You didn't just beat anybody. Okay, after getting past Tampa and then doing what we did to Detroit, albeit the injuries, we were still at Ford Field, and let me tell you, it gets loud out there, and we came to play and did what we had to do. Bro, we need to be looked at like this. The fact that NFL is bringing Hard Knocks to us and in our division shows that people got an eye on us, and now it's just our chance to turn it up. Let's go.
I'm with you. I hope so. I want you to be right.
Yes. Now I will say this: we didn't talk about one thing, and that's the preseason games. We play the Bengals like we do. We've done that most years, and the Ravens. But let's talk about the first game we play at Foxborough against the GOAT, Drake May. Can we discuss that?
No,
Can we discuss that?
I'm not,
This could be a Super Bowl preview. Listen, Drake is still young. They're going to put him in for a snap just to show that the third pick might have been better than the second pick. Oh my God. Drake May, baby. Let's go.
I'm going to kick you out of the studio.
Yo. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get out of here. But before we do, those of you that are football fans know, probably not more than an hour before we came on the show, we found out that Jim Irsay passed away. His family said he passed away peacefully in his sleep. He was 65 years old. That's not that old. He was he's part of the Colts organization, but one of the things that a lot of people remember, at least in Washington, was he was essentially the whistleblower that came out and said, there are some things going on there in Washington, and you need to go ahead and check it out. Some, talking about the toxic work environment and a lot of improprieties that, was happening in that organization. And, that definitely was essentially the thing that, really got the ball rolling and we see where we're at now. So, we say we wanted to make that connection, but we also just want to say, prayers out to his family, all those that are close to him. And I know in the organization and around the league, in certain circles, he definitely will be missed. So rest in peace to Jim Irsay, 65 years old, passed away today. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are heading out of here. This is Washington Football Weekly. That's my guy over there, Will Kramer in steamy South Carolina. And it's your boy, Sean Spencer, who says, stay warm tonight, Northern Virginia, because it is cold. It is very cold.
You're not going to the pool this weekend, Sean.
No. I am in a pool every time I walk out there, and it's equally humid and rainy, and then it's cold. I can't do Northern Virginia anymore, man. I'm coming down there, man. I'll tell you. All right, we're out of here. You see who it is. This is my boy over here, Sean Spencer. That's Will Kramer. And as we always say, left hand up.
Gibbs, you got a good chance. Let me tell you something about some good fans. Back in the day, RFK was our palace. If you don't know, you need to ask about us. Think we're gonna lose? Well, I can't believe you doubt us. Had the whole crowd screaming out, we want Those haters can't stand